What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a throwback anniversary review for the 10th anniversary of the 4th studio album Daisy by the band Brand New. One of my personal all-time favorite bands. This record, Daisy, is an underrated gem in their discography, and I hope to talk to you more about that, especially if you've never really listened to this record in full before. Daisy is the follow-up to the 2006 masterpiece, The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me. This album, in comparison, is shorter, more chaotic, noisy, but also more frustrated in an open way. I just feel that this album is confused, and also not in a bad way at all. It's not just the frontman Jesse Lacey being confused this time. Guitarist Vincent Accardi stepped up to the plate in a major way to help write some of these songs, in fact entirely write some of the tracks on this record, which is something that he hadn't previously done outside of, say, the closing track on The Devil and God and a few lines here and there. There was only one single released from this album, and that was At the Bottom. Lacey and company just really didn't feel comfortable putting out a ton of tracks from this, and Lacey in particular didn't like to appear on camera, but we did get the studio sessions where they sat down to perform some of these tracks, and that obviously turned out fantastic. And this record, while it's not for everyone, I think that this is kind of the perfect storm. And storm is definitely the right word because it's unpredictable, it kind of winds itself up, and sometimes the thunder just cracks and the lightning strikes, but other times it's just clouds moving over. Brand New are one of the very few bands that I know and actively love the hell out of that didn't necessarily always change up the playbook drastically throughout their career, but at the same time they've never made a record that sounds like a retread of the previous one or anything else in their discography. There's recurring themes lyrically once again on this album, and I would say the loss of innocence is a major one. Also, obviously, nature is something that comes up and is implied. There's a lot of metaphors involving nature. We can see that from the album cover, which just fits it so well. It looks like the fox is just staring dead right at the camera, and it's looking at you, peering into your soul. And as we hear about the loss of innocence, about how Jesse and Vincent are so jaded with religion, with the way that things have been and what they've been told, and how nothing is holding up in their adult years, I just feel that it's the perfect fit. They did such a good job at crafting this record, taking their time. Daisy took almost 12 months to complete the writing and recording process for. Once again, they worked with their favorite producer, Mike Sapone, and it always works out perfectly. It seems like they get into the studio, they're able to create magic, but also sadness, darkness, and just not a light at the end of the tunnel. As I mentioned before, this is a very noisy record. It can get quite confrontational and in your face. We see that immediately as this album opens up with a hymn and then cuts into Vices, and it totally throws you for a loop. It's like I was in a church service on Sunday with my grandmother, and now I'm being uprooted and taken to the depths of hell. These jarring effects continue to be used throughout the record, and I don't say that it's jarring in a turbulent sense that you're just getting seasick. I feel that this is more so just done for the effect of the music to hit that much harder, to emphasize the struggle, the anger, the depression, the sadness, the anxiety, because this is an anxiety-inducing listen. We glean that from whoever the lyricist of the track is, and it's perpetuated even further by these deep-rooted bass lines. Also, these spectacular guitars. I think of tracks like Bought a Bride when I think of some of the best licks on the record, and also the drumming here, just the way that it can be more atmospheric, but also always in control. Minimizing after putting out an album that maximized on every potential that you had as a band is a risk. It's a gamble, but maybe that was just one of their vices, is gambling on a new frontier, moving into a new musical terrain. And I do think that Daisy is very unique, very different when compared to any of their other albums. It's only about 40 minutes long, and the runtime feels like it could have been extended a bit and I would have been okay with it, but I almost appreciate the brevity here. The more a listener takes the time to sit with this album and to appreciate the intricacies and the manic depression that seems to run throughout, the fascination with I lost this innocence, something that I believed in so heavily, and I now do not know how to comprehend dealing with this as an adult. It was definitely a recurring theme on the last record, but now here on Daisy, they double down on this and they almost get even angrier about it because their spirit is just lost. It seems like they don't know what to do with themselves, both Lacey and Accardi. And the way that the band builds up suspense can reel you in, but then just simultaneously drop you off the edge of the cliff on some of these tracks, and especially like the title track Daisy that again opens up with a gospel hymn. It's a wild ride. Gasoline is a good place to start when it comes to breaking down the songs that make up this record. There's 11 total, and Gasoline kind of captures everything about the album's essence that I really genuinely appreciate. I think this song, as it instantly opens up with kind of a hard-hitting vocal, the drum line that combines with an off-kilter guitar, it seems desperate in its attempt to get the message across. You wanted to put something out, but you used gasoline, and obviously that continues to stoke the fire that burns throughout Daisy, so I just feel that this is one of the pinnacle moments on the LP, an essential track. Realistically, this album isn't always slapping you upside the face with how heavy and intense it can be with its shouted vocals and attacking guitars. I respect those moments and I love those moments, but I also truly cherish the cuts where they seemingly just kind of go into this winding feeling of anxiety. I think that Bed is a perfect example of that. Lie to all your friends, and later on in bed. These are words that we hear off the tongue of Jesse Lacey, and as he delivers these moments, I just feel this winding feeling of suspense that does make the listener uncomfortable, but again, you've already settled into this world. They really established that on the first cut, Vices, which is fantastic, and Bed just further doubles down on that. You Stole continues that trend. It picks up a slower pace, but also it's always been one that stapled itself in my mind. I think of a track like Losing My Religion, the classic by REM, which is very on the nose about being jaded and losing your innocence when it comes to religion and just feeling like this isn't for you and you don't know if you can believe anymore. Well, I feel that You Stole is a classic in its own right. It's obviously vastly different, but in my opinion, this one has always stood out. It's been one of my favorite brand new cuts that just keeps me magnetized. The title track Daisy, which was written by Vincent Accardi, really drops you into things and it keeps you hypnotized due to the fact that it opens up with, again, a gospel hymn, and then you're just faced with these lacerated cuts of a human being, and you're just saying all of these things that you are, or that the narrator is, what they feel, but it's also chopped up around this drum rhythm that's really great, and especially as the track progresses, we get this deep, creeping bass. It's almost like a horror film as it cuts its way in. Prepare to shout along to Sink, which is absolutely fantastic. It's just a flamethrower. You want to sink, so I'm gonna let you. It's holding out that hand and saying, oh, I'm going to take it away because you haven't done anything to earn my respect. You haven't done anything to be in my life. You want to sink into this, so I'm going to let you. Or perhaps it's even about the narrator's own self, the mind saying, you're not doing anything to pull yourself out of this. And it's so loud. Everything is noisy. It's noise rock in a way, but it kind of rides the line between that and classic Brand New. The album really never has a losing streak at all. In a Jar and Noro are truly fascinating cuts that have a lot to offer. In a Jar gets menacing with its tenacity, and then Noro, wow, that one just takes the moment to introspectively look at things. Why can't I sleep? Why am I facing all of these fears? Why can't any of my friends do these things? Am I around the wrong people? What's it going to take for us to not feel this way anymore? And as it winds itself out and closes out the album over the course of 6 minutes, I truly fall in love. I just feel like I'm just looking into this song's soul, and it's looking right back and offering me everything. Outside of the somewhat questionable interlude track Be Gone, which I feel a little bit irritated even still at this point by the chopped up vocals and the more southern style of it, but then again, it does kind of fit in, especially when you look for what this album was going for. The only other song that I haven't mentioned really at all outside of the fact that it was a single is At the Bottom. And that's for good reason. I've saved the best for last. This song tears at every chord of my heart, of my human being manifestation of myself. I can't even put into words how much I truly owe to this song. At the Bottom is a song that is something that pulled at me from an early age, but in my adult years, I think it stuck with me even more. It's my personal favorite track from Brand New. Daisy might not be my favorite Brand New album, and it might not technically be their best. But damn it, this band don't have a bad album in their discography. It's not even close to having something that teeters the line of being questionable. Daisy is a introspective, but also outwardly angry listen that encapsulates a lot of different genres, many different styles, retains the best elements of Brand New, but also surprise attacks with some new additions. Overall for me, this is the strongest 4.5 out of 5 that I could possibly give. And since this album is now 10 years old, I would love to know what you guys think retrospectively in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching this throwback review of Brand New's Daisy. Again, this was an inspiration to me starting my channel in the first place, so very grateful to this listen even more in my adult years. Anyways, if you want to see another Brand New review, then tap right here or tap here for another throwback. Don't forget to subscribe while you're here, drop a like on the review, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.